magacaygu waa Cali Maxamed Xuseen wiilkan da'diisa waa 5 sano jir ka imaad ceel waa qabuur haji gada dadkii soo barakacay oo xoolaha ka dhamaadeen aan ahayn ciidamada amisom oo jooga meesha oo iska socda yaa meel biyo lagu shubanayo ugu imaaday waxay ciidanka su'aaleen canuga noloshiisa waxa aan takhtar ugu qaadan waayay waxyaabahaas su'aaleen waxaan ugu qaadi waayay hadii maba awoodinba bacawshadan ku jira oo dad iska soo barakacay xoolaha ka soo dhamaadeen aan ahayn hamigaas iyo hawadaas biguma jirinba aan isbitaal ku qaata nolol maalmeedkayga baan kari la'aaba hadda nin isbitaal awooda ma ahayn way yeereen waan u imid baabuurka hadda ayaga baa iga soo bixiyo isoo gaarsiiyay meeshan hadda aan joogo hadda meesha aan joogana waa Mandera.
My name is Dr. Peter Odwar. I'm a reconstructive surgeon working in Nakuru. For this particular week I'm here in Mandera basically for a surgical camp where we are operating on patients with both cleft lip and cleft palate. It's quite a common problem in Africa and even Asia. There are two ways through which we get this particular problem. One is basically just to do with the environment, and this is more so to do with the issue of poverty, where you find that certain foodstuffs that people lack in their meals basically are responsible for the development of cleft lip and even maybe cleft palate. Then the other bit also is genetic, where you find that if, let's say, a mother or a father, or even maybe a child had a relative who had a cleft lip, or a sibling with a cleft lip, you'll find that they've got a very, very high chance of developing cleft lip. Like this camp that we're doing this time, we've got a parent who has come with 2 children with the cleft lip. And some years back, we had also operated on one other child who also had cleft lip. So basically, out of the 4 children that he's got, 3 of them have cleft lip. Basically, this tells you that there is a genetic component. So in the causation of cleft lip, there are 2 issues. There's one to do with the environment, and then the other bit that is related to the genetic component, where now if you've got somebody in the family who has a cleft lip, then there are very, very high chances of you getting a cleft lip. I think in regions like this, what really comes to being is more the environmental bit, where poverty is an issue. I think people have talked about lack of folate or folic acid in the diet, and also maybe some of the cooking areas that they use, basically the smoke in the cooking areas. These are basically some of the things which have been thought to be responsible for the development of cleft lip. What number of the children basically you'll find will have both cleft lip and cleft palate? It's not common to get cleft palate alone. Normally when cleft palate is there alone, then it's more of a genetic type of inheritance. When one thinks about the surgery, we try to do the surgery as early as possible, especially for cleft lip, because of the embarrassment that these children normally tend to have, and even the stigma from I think the parents, because I think the parents really feel uncomfortable when they have children with the cleft lip. I've seen when we were doing the screening on Wednesday, you find quite a number of the mothers were hiding their children. They didn't want their children to be seen when they were queuing, so they will only expose the child when the child reaches the doctor. Basically, now if you imagine that this is the type of life that they have to lead at home, then it's quite stressful for them. Now for cleft palate, I think besides the issue of stigma, there's several problems, because the speech that this child normally develops is what is called a nasal speech, because of the air escaping through the nose. So they'll not pronounce things, they'll say, that's the type of pronunciation which they have. And this basically normally interferes with how they perform at school. So cleft palate, I think people will try to operate on the children before they develop their speech, so that as they develop the speech, at least the speech will become as normal as is possible. When you look at how long these surgeries take, normally if you're doing a cleft lip alone, it will take maybe about an hour 15 minutes from the start of the surgery to the end of the surgery. That is if it's a cleft lip that's on one side. If it's a cleft lip that's on both sides, then you find that it stretches to 1.5 hours to 2 hours. Cleft palate is longer and sometimes is even more complicated. So you find the surgery will take about 2 hours. One of the challenges that you'll find with this type of deformities is that the people who are able to do this surgery are very few. So you find that now it's through camps like this that we're able to sort out the problem. I think if you look at an area like northeastern part of this country, I think these security fears have made people fear coming this way, so you don't get many people coming. That's why you find In other areas, we operate on children maybe under 1 year, but here we're operating on children above 2 years. In fact, most of them are from 4 and above, and even occasionally we get adults. So basically what it means is that the chances of people being operated when they're here are slimmer. So that I think when you have a camp like this, basically it's going to be able to help support these programs and also help these particular children.
waxaan ka imaaday meel la yiraahdo dhagaxay tuur oo ka sii koro wiliba baadiya aan ka imaaday maadaama aan gaari fiina nala soo saaray gabarta si fiican aan leeyahay tale ilaahay yaa maanta iska lah waa u mahadcelinaynaa si firii ah nogala tale wax lacag nagala ma qaad marka waa mahadsantii
waxaan taaganahay banaankii operationka lagu filinayay muddo 2 saac hadda uu iga maqan wiilkaygii ما شاء الله إله محدث كله سبحانه وتعالى الحمد لله هذا هدين معاه كم وطنين كان أفكيس وصقر حناضي أو سكو آدم رحمة الله إله إسكله أنت عنك جيست وهذا وتر دارن كردن رحمة الله إله سبحانه وتعالى أنت عنك جيستي قاسة شغالها إذا ما أمس هم وسود ديوانجلية أدول بق عنك جيست وأقام هذا ما شاء الله وأنا فرحسن هذا وفرح سنة
أنا حسن قابن آذنا لي ده وعنك إمادي استرك رامو ملدي راجكو قبل أنونا إرفادي سون أد وقوم مركزناي إلى يوم حد إسكالي والليت تلاي حالي هبنورن فرحائي أو فرحدين أنكور دي مثلا أمر فرحنا ويا هيسيو استال كم بحسن كرين ودعوة كم بحن كرين حدنا مجان حقوق سفري اللي يقول تلاي خير الله سيدتك ما هذا نقلنا يدتك إتلاي
أنا وحالي ده أحمد عثمان قرات وعنك إمادي بانسير رامو دحدو تولي ركور معدو وحنوت اللبع عنق كوا الله بجر كون واتمنجر الماس فرورون إلهي أنت اللقوم هذية ويصاد به ويصوم مشغوليان ما هاد هنا العلين أنك الماين طيب إرساقة ينوعون وين يبين عبون عن عبين وأفكر إنه لسوب إله ما هاد كله شرف إيه ونا قوي علينا.
Kuwait government through the patient helping fund society basically has been able to make this particular program succeed. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a neglected area. And I think we wouldn't mind having more and more support towards these children with the cleft lip and the cleft palate. So I would like to appeal to the Kuwaiti government to continue. This, I believe, is a beginning, but let's hope that they will be having more and more interaction with us here so that we continue performing these surgeries in this particular region.